Hey folks, welcome to our top 10 city games as determined by our giveaway participants for the month of July. So in the month of July, we gave away a copy of a deluxe edition of Agda and from 25th Century Games. And so the way you entered that giveaway was to send us an email with your top 5 city games, games that had to do with a city. I believe I provided the delineation, a real city on this globe. So from that list, from those entries, we decided to put in a top 10 city games as determined by those participants. Now, in those emails, we had no less than 139 games that were nominated, and 45 of those actually got at least 2 votes. First and second place was locked in. We'll talk about that later on. Third, fourth, and fifth place was a tie between 3 different games, and then 6 was solidified. 7 and 8 were tied between 2 games, and then 9 and 10 had 3 games that were in that. So we will have 10 games for sure, and then 1 honorable mention at the end. We'll get to that later on, but let's hit it. Now, because I haven't played all of these games, we are actually going to use my trusty computer, and we're going to use Board Game Geek. If any of them spark your interest, go to Board Game Geek, check them out, and you'll be able to see what you think. So, as I said, places 9 and 10 were actually a tie between 3 different games, and they were all tied with 7 votes each. Number 10 is Coimbra. Coimbra is by Egert Spiel, and was designed by Flaminia Brazzini and Virginia Gidley. Artist was Chris Quilliams, and this is a 2018 game. It's got a 7.6 out of 10 on the Geek for as far as people are liking it. It has a weight of 3.25 out of 5. And this is one of the games that I've never played. So I'm really kind of going, it's based on 15th, 16th century Portugal, thriving under the lead role of the Age of Discovery. Nestled in the heart of Portugal, the city of Coimbra serves as a cultural center. So there is action drafting, auction bidding, dice rolling, in-game bonuses, and what other mechanisms are there? Point-to-point movement, set collection, tech trees, stat-based turn order, variable setup, worker placement with dice workers. This is something that I probably need to check out, but I just haven't played Coimbra yet. But that is your number 10, Coimbra. Number 9 was, again, tied with 7 votes, and the tiebreaker put it at number 9 over Coimbra at number 10, and that is a 2004 release called San Juan. Never played this one either, but designed by Andreas Seefarth. Artist was Franz Vollwinkel, and the designer, or rather the publisher was Ravensburger and Alea. So, 2004, it has a 7.2 out of 10 rating on the Geek, and the weight is at 2.29, so considerably lighter than Coimbra. It's a card game now that's based on Puerto Rico. So, that's another thing that's kind of a neat thing about it. So, it's based on the idea that Puerto Rico had, but it's a card game. So, that's pretty cool. Also, never played this game either. I already mentioned that. It's similar in concept to Puerto Rico, but the game has many different mechanisms. It doesn't include colonists, and it doesn't include shipping of goods. Good production and trading are normally limited to 1 card per phase, and trades cannot be blocked. So you get the idea here. It's basically a card version of Puerto Rico with some differences. But that is your number 9 city game, San Juan. Places 7 and 8 had a 2-way tie between 2 games with 8 votes each. Number 8 here is a Queen game that was published in 2022 called Marrakesh. Now, I have a copy of Marrakesh sitting over there on my table, so I really want to get it to the table now because it's on your top 10. So it tells me that's something that I should probably take a gander at. Here's the deal, though. It's a 3.39 out of 5, which is really kind of outside of my area of comfortability as far as game weight is concerned. But it's probably right down JT's alley, so we're going to get it to the table here pretty quick. 8.2 out of 10 is the average rating for Marrakesh on the Board Game Geek. It has a cube tower. I like cube towers. In-game bonuses, open drafting, simultaneous action selection, those are all things that I have enjoyed over the past. So looking at the pictures as well, has a really good looking table presence. So I'm looking forward to getting this one to the table. But your number 8 city game is Marrakesh from Queen Games. Your number 7 that was tied with Marrakesh with 8 votes is Barcelona from Board and Dice. Board and Dice is a cool publisher. I like a lot of the games that they've come out with. This one is a 3.35 woof, for weight. And then it's a 7.8 for a rating. So again, high marks. Doesn't surprise me that you guys are choosing these games, but I think it's pretty neat. I haven't played this one either. Mechanisms are endgame bonuses, tile placement, and worker placement. So again, the weight is the only one that's really kind of given me any pause here, because it seems like it's a little bit of a heavier game that I probably will ultimately enjoy, but I might enjoy just the experience of trying it out. So I do want to get it to the table. Don't own a copy of it though. So that's Barcelona, your number 7 city game. Coming in strong and all on its lonesome with 12 votes at the 6th place is a game called Jaur. This is for 2 players, and it's a 30-minute game. Really simple card game. Has Vincent Dutrait's artwork on it. It is designed by Sebastian Pochon, and it's put out by Space Cowboys, GameWorks, Sarl, and so forth. This is a game that I have played, and my goodness, am I happy to see that it made it to your list, about midway through the list as well. So that tells me that I'm not the only one that think this is a good game. It does have a 7.5 out of 10 rating on the Geek, and it is a measly 1.46 as far as complexity is concerned out of 5. As far as mechanisms are concerned, you're talking about hand management for the most part. It's really a hand management card game, but there is open drafting. There's a market that you can choose from, and you are trying to collect different sets. So those are the main ones out of the ones here that are listed that you should expect. And this is a very fun game that Jesse and I have really enjoyed, and the fact that it has Vincent Dutrait's artwork on the newer version from Space Cowboys at the very least is a huge plus for me. So coming in at number 6, your number 6 city game was Jaipur. Places 3, 4, and 5 were tied with each other with 14 votes each. Number 5 came out as the 2014 release, Istanbul. This one is one that I have not played either, put out by Pegasus Spiel. Rudiger Dorn is the designer, and the artists are Andreas Resch and Hans-Georg Schneider. 2 to 5 players, 40 to 60 minutes, has a 2.58 out of 5 complexity rating. Mechanisms are contracts, dice rolling, grid movement, modular boards, network and route building, and pick up and deliver, race, variable setup, and worker placement. So these are all things that I've enjoyed in the past. I've just never played Istanbul, but I don't think I have a real reason as to why, because 2.58 out of 5 is really kind of in my wheelhouse as far as complexity is concerned. So this is one that, if given the chance, I would absolutely love to get to the table. That is your number 5 city game, Istanbul. Number 4, tied for 14 votes each, is one of my favorite games in the world, really, and it has really kind of come back to light here recently with some different plays that I've been able to get. But this one is called King of Tokyo. This is a 2011 release from Yellow, but this one is a 7.1 on the Geek, and the rating for weight, complexity is 1.49. Really, it's a Yahtzee-style dice rolling. You're going to be resolving those dice as you roll them. There's a King of the Hill mechanism because somebody is going to be going into Tokyo and you're trying to damage them. They're going to be damaging everybody else. The idea behind King of Tokyo is you're basically wanting to be the last person standing, or you want to get to 20 points first, and you do that with a lot of fun card play and a lot of fun dice rolling. This is one of my favorites as well, so I was very happy that it made the upper half of the list Very well done, you guys. King of Tokyo, your number 4 city game. Your number 3. This is the last tied game of any places on this list. I think I have played, but it has been so long, I don't remember for sure. It is a 10-year-old game. It came out in 2014, and it has an 8.1 out of 10 for a rating on the Geek. Complexity rating of 3.03, put out by DLP Games, Orleans, or Orleans. Rainer Stockhausen is the designer. Artist is Clemens Franz. Contracts, deck, bag, pool building, in-game bonuses, events, point-to-point movement. Let's see here. Simultaneous action selection, tech trees, turn order, which is progressive, variable setup, worker placement with different worker types. That's one of the things that I really enjoy. I don't recall ever having played this, though, so I think I really need to get it to the table if given the chance. I don't own the game, so I would like to try it. 90 minutes isn't bad for a playtime, and 3.03 is pretty close to what I really enjoy. 2 to 5 players, best at 4. So that's all information you can get on the Geek, but number 3, your number 3 city game is Orleans. Numbers 1 and 2 were all by their lonesome. They were not tied by anything, and there was a pretty great chasm between numbers 1 and 2. Number 2 came in with 15 votes, just squeak out the other 3 that we just got through talking about, but it is a 2 to 4 player game that is really best at 2. It is a 2016 game, and it is a game that I own and a game that I really enjoy, and that is from Roxley Santorini. It's a 7.4 out of 10 for a rating on the Geek. It has a 1.72 complexity rating out of 5. So again, that's not very bad at all, but it's a really neat, it's a beautiful abstract game that has some really nice bling to the base components of the game. And it just looks great, and it's a great, fun little abstract strategy game. You do have some grid movement. There is some map reduction in it. It is a race to try to get your city's buildings built first. It can be a team-based game if you go up to 4 players. There is 3-dimensional movement, which is another cool thing about it. It's not just a 2D abstract game. There is 3-dimensional movement, and of course there are variable player powers that can go into it as well. This is a really great game. If you haven't ever played Santorini, this is one that you should really kind of track down and go try out, especially if you like 2-player abstract strategy games. I like it a lot. It does go up to 4, but again, like I said, it's best with 2. That is your number 2, Santorini. And finally, your number 1, and I do have to say, your number 1 stayed at number 1 almost from the very beginning of me tabulating votes that came in. It was the clear front runner from about 25% into the tabulation, and it never got challenged after that. And that is, with 25 votes altogether, Carcassone. This is from Hansem Gluck and Z-Man Games. 2 to 5 players, 30 to 45 minutes, 1.89 complexity, and it has a 7.4 out of 10 average rating on the Geek. This is one that I own a lot of. They came out with some standalone expansion-esque type games called the Around the World series in Carcassone, and those are my favorite ways to play. But breaking out Carcassone, we actually did it on the channel a couple weeks back for our Time Honored Tuesdays playthrough, and it holds up. It can be played different ways, as some in our chat kept telling us, but it is a fun game, and it just holds up over the years. This game is 24 years old, and it's still being regarded as one of the best city games in existence. So that is your number 1, designed by Klaus-Jürgen Reda, and there are, looks like 4 or 5, 4 different artists: Marcel Gruber, Doris Matos, Ann Potsky, and Chris Williams. If I murdered those names, I'm sincerely sorry. But your number 1 city game is Carcassone. Now, as far as the honorable mention, this was one of the three that were tied for 9th and 10th place at 7 votes. And this one is Ticket to Ride London. And we were just playing this at our game event at our church over the weekend. We actually taught this to some people. They had a great time playing it, and it's an enjoyable experience. I think these smaller box versions of Ticket to Ride are some of the best ways to play Ticket to Ride. The little caveat, that rule that is thrown into it is scoring different districts. If you have links to all of the cities and different districts of London, then you can score extra points for those districts that are on top of the points that you get for the links and the points that you get from your tickets. So it's a neat little addition rule to the game, and it works very well. On top of that, it has the little double-decker bus pieces instead of train links. I thought that was a cool addition as well. But that is your honorable mention, number 11, in our top 10 city games list. So thank you for joining me for this. I certainly appreciate your time. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.